Hello, this is Lecture 1, Part 2, the scope of linguistics within the Chapter 1 of What is Linguistics. Third year, Department of English, Faculty of Education. This topic explains the interdisciplinarities of linguistics. Now, in this topic, we'll talk about three main points. Number one, inner circle linguistics proper or microlinguistics. Two, outer circle interdisciplinary linguistics or macro linguistics. And three, synchronic versus diachronic study of language. Two approaches to deal with language. Now, if you see this figure or sketch, we will find in the center phonetics, and then from this center, the core, we'll move through phonology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, and then the outer circles. Now, this is the basic sketching of the topic scope of linguistics. Now, the inner circle linguistics proper. Now, before this, we'll talk about linguistics as covering a wide range of topics, and its boundaries are difficult to define. Why? Because wherever language involves, there is the study of linguistics. Now, in the diagram, if we go back to the diagram, we'll find in the center phonetics, the study of human speech sounds. It is a basic background knowledge rather than part of linguistics itself. It does not belong to the study of language. It is the raw material. It is the raw material. It is the basic background knowledge, but it is not part of linguistics. The raw material out of which language is made. They study the position of the tongue, teeth, vocal cords during the production of sounds, and record and analyze the sound waves, etc. While linguistics, on the other hand, are more interested in the way in which language is patterned, systematic study of language, while phonetics is the job of other persons. Now, and the idea of language as a patterned system is focused by the Swiss linguist, the famous Swiss linguist who is regarded nowadays as the father of modern linguistics or descriptive linguistics, Ferdinand de Saussure. De Saussure expressed the difference well between patterned and unpatterned studies of language when he compared language with a game of chess. The linguist is interested in the various moves which the chessman makes, and how they are aligned on the board. So the chessmen are made of wood or ivory. Their substance does not alter the rules of the game, and here is the best exemplification of phonetics and the study of language represented by phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. So it is a matter of using the patterns. So the patterns of any language are more important than the physical substance out of which language is made. Let's move to the inner circle. The inner circle. Now, we said that in the center phonetics, the study of human speech sound, yet it is the basic background, not part of linguistics. It is part of the raw material upon which linguistics is based. And we talked about the famous Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. We moved to the patterns of any language, which are important and more important than the physical substance of the given language. Then, what are the inner circle disciplines? There are basically 3 or 4, depending on different opinions. When there are 3, they are phonology, dealing with the sound system, then after the phonology is surrounded by syntax, which is the morphology, the structure of words, and syntax itself, the structure of sentences. And then semantics. It is the subdiscipline which deals with the meaning, the study of meaning. All these 3, phonology, syntax, and semantics, represent the grammar of any given language. The grammar of any given language. What grammar means here is the set of rules. The set of rules that govern phonology, the patterning of the sound, or rules of the sound, which govern the syntax, and which govern the semantics of any given language. So we can talk about phonological rules or grammar of phonology, syntactic rules or grammar of syntax, and semantic rules, the grammar of semantics. Then this is the inner circle. The outer circle where language touches other disciplines but not from the core linguistics. These are represented by pragmatics, the use of language in the context, in different contexts. So there is a use for language, but it is attached to or it depends on the use of context. Psycholinguistics, the study of language and mind, how we humans acquire language, how we perceive, how we conceive, how we produce, and so on and so forth. Sociolinguistics, the study of language in society. So the use of language depending on the cultural or social contexts, such as the then we move to applied linguistics, the application of linguistics to language teaching, and this is a limited definition. Nowadays, applied linguistics is widely defined as the application of language in different disciplines of linguistics. We move to computational linguistics. It is the language computerized, whatever computerized applications or programs where language is involved. Then stylistics, the study of style, whether in literature, in society, in a different context where language has different styles. Then anthropological linguistics, the study of language in cross-culture settings. Philosophical linguistics, the link between language and logical thought, which means why studying this, why studying that, why language is so and so, why we choose this word rather than that word, and so on and so forth. Now, the third part of our complementary lecture is the synchronic versus diachronic study. When we talked about descriptive and prescriptive linguistics, of course, each of these two approaches has adopted certain methodology or certain tools. Chief among these tools are synchronic and diachronic studies or tools. Now, of course, two important, the diachronic study of linguistics means the historical linguistics, or the study of language change. The study of language change. And we can talk a lot about this, but briefly, we put different or several languages and then we trace their historical changes for certain purpose. It could be for finding out the similarities and differences between these several languages in question. This is called historical linguistics, which means we start, for example, with Arabic, starting from 1990 up to 2020, or from 1800 up to 1900, and so on and so forth. This is for the purpose of finding the similarities and differences between Arabic, for example, and English, or Arabic and Hebrew, and so on and so forth. This is called synchronic. We trace back the historical changes. While synchronic linguistics, or descriptive linguistics, is the study of language at a particular point of time. At a particular point of time. It does not deal with the historical changes. No, it only describes. For example, we study the Iraqi Arabic nowadays, or we study the Iraqi Arabic in 10 years from now. But the most important thing is at a particular point of time. We do not compare or contrast different stages of language change. No, we deal with it as it is. We describe the language at a particular point of time. This is the core difference between synchronic and diachronic. As for our study, for our topic, for our class in linguistics nowadays, we prefer to study linguistics descriptively, which means synchronically. We choose the synchronic study. This book, our textbook, deals with linguistics from synchronic point of view, while the diachronic point of view is a different approach to study language. That's all for this lecture. This is a complimentary lecture. Wait for me next lecture with the next topic, chapter 2. Thank you very much. I'll see you then.